Dear students, today I will discuss and give a brief background about paper 7, which is the title of this paper is Metal Ligand Bonding, Electronic Spectra and Magnetic Properties of Transition Metal Complexes. The major content that we are going to discuss in this paper are crystal field theory, molecular orbital theory including ligand field theory, metal ligand bonding, electronic spectra of coordination complexes, isomerism in coordination complexes, and finally magnetic properties of coordination complexes. This particular paper focuses on understanding the metal ligand bonding and several properties that originate from the metal ligand bonding. In a transition metal complex, a metal ion and the associated ligand both dictate the overall properties of the resultant complex. Therefore, understanding of the metal ligand bonding becomes indispensable to interpret the overall properties of a coordination complex. Of course, to understand the metal ligand bonding, a fairly good background of metal ions and their properties, ligands and their types, and therefore crystal field theory becomes extremely essential. Crystal field theory focuses on the splitting of d orbitals of a transition metal atom into groups as a result of electrostatic interactions between the ligands and the electrons in the unhybridized orbitals of a transition metal atom. The model can be used to understand as well as interpret and predict the color, magnetic properties and structure of the coordination complexes. It is important to note that the crystal field theory does not explain the bonding in coordination complexes. It only describes behavior that can be attributed to electrons on the transition metal atom in a coordination complex. Therefore, as an extension, ligand field theory as well as molecular orbital theory were evolved to explain the detailed bonding, electronic spectra and magnetic properties of coordination complexes. In this paper, the first few modules are dedicated to the basic concepts of crystal field theory with emphasis on the octahedral as well as tetrahedral ligand field complexes, followed by spectrochemical series, crystal field stabilization energy, electronic and magnetic properties of coordination complexes. We then move to the limitation of crystal field theory that creates the background of molecular orbital theory as well as ligand orbital theory. The discussion on molecular orbital theory starts with the coordination complexes with the octahedral geometry and then discusses tetrahedral as well as square planar geometries. The molecular orbital theory also includes detailed discussion about the pi acceptor and pi donor ligands and their role in controlling the bonding and electronic properties of the resultant coordination complexes. In the next part, a detailed account of electronic spectra of transition metal ions have been discussed. This part includes basics of electronic transitions followed by quantum numbers, electron spin as well as electron spin orbital coupling and its effect on the electronic properties. The subsequent discussions include various selection rules and splitting of d orbitals to understand the weak field and strong field splitting. This is further followed by the in-depth discussion on Orgel diagrams and Tanabe-Sugano diagrams for various electronic configuration. Specifically, we will be discussing from the electronic configuration from D1 to D9 metal ions. This section also covers the basics of charge transfer transitions including ligand to metal as well as metal to ligand transitions. The isomerism of coordination complexes is quite interesting, although a bit complicated compared to traditional organic isomerism. In this paper, several modules have been devoted for a comprehensive illustration of isomerism in coordination complexes. The discussion starts with constitutional or structural isomerism and subsequently covers geometrical as well as optical isomerism in coordination complexes. An adequate discussion on the absolute configuration and resolution of optical isomers including various spectroscopic techniques such as ORD and circular dichroism has also been included. The last section of this paper number 7 is devoted to a detailed discussion on the magnetic properties of transition metal complexes. We start by discussing the basics of magnetic properties, and subsequently several modules have comprehensive discussion on diamagnetism, paramagnetism, Van Vleck equation, the concept of crystal field theory, and orbital contribution to the magnetic properties, the phenomena of spin crossover, anomalous magnetic moments, and different theoretical models to explain the anomalous magnetic moments, and finally the concept of ferro, ferri and antiferromagnetism is also being discussed in variety of coordination complexes. So this particular paper will actually give you a very good background on electronic properties of transition metal complexes, understanding their color and magnetic properties.
After studying this module, you shall be able to know the splitting pattern of d orbitals in octahedral crystal field, learn why splitting takes place, identify the strong and weak field ligands, and evaluate the extent of splitting in octahedral complexes.
Today we are going to discuss about crystal field theory. Crystal field theory was developed in 1930s by two physicists, Van Vleck and Bethe, and they discuss about why the metal ions are being affected when the ligands approach a metal ion. So what actually happens, let us try to understand. When a ligand approaches a metal ion, what happens, the electron density which is present on the ligand will affect the metal orbitals which are present primarily on the metal ion, and because of that some of the ligands are approaching certain number of orbitals which are going to directly face the ligands, and some of the ligand orbital which are away from the approach of the ligand are not going to get affected that strongly. So because of that, what happens, the metal orbitals which are primarily at one position, they start separating depending on how the ligand is approaching the metal ion. Now because of this degeneracy, the metal ions orbitals, we can take both example of d orbital as well as f orbital, they will start splitting with each other. For example, d orbitals primarily which are going to be together, the time metal ion approaches in an octahedral field, they will split in T2g 3 and Eg 2 orbitals, and the gap between these two set of orbitals will depend what type of ligand and what type of metal ion is present. So primarily crystal field theory depends on two main factors. One is the ligand factor and another one is the metal factor. Metal means what type of metal, what is the oxidation state of the metal, how many d electrons are present, and ligand, what type of ligand, what type of electron density that ligand is going to enforce on the metal, and these two parameters and combination of these two parameters decide several aspects of crystal field theory. Crystal field theory primarily helps us in understanding several of the spectroscopic properties, for example absorption spectroscopy, as well as magnetic properties, spinel structure, the hydration enthalpy. But the crystal field theory also fails in actually understanding the bonding between the metal and the ligand, and that's why slowly this crystal field theory evolved to another advanced theory called molecular orbital theory, and a combination of crystal field theory and molecular orbital theory gave rise to something called ligand field theory. That is what is the ultimate bonding structure which is being provided by the ligand field theory.
Crystal field theory is based on the idea that a purely electrostatic interaction exists between the central metal ion and the ligands. In this theory, ligands are considered as point charges. It also predicts the pattern of splitting of the d orbitals. On the basis of crystal field splitting, the color and magnetic properties in transition metal complexes can be predicted. Why are there different colors for the complexes of same central metal ion? As you can see that for all the four complexes, the central metal ion is cobalt 3+. As we know that the previous theory, that is the valence bond theory, could only rationalize geometry and magnetic properties of the coordination metal complexes on a simple level. So the crystal field theory was developed to overcome the limitations of the previous theory, and these limitations were: valence bond theory could not account for color of the complexes. Valence bond theory may predict magnetism wrongly. Valence bond theory could not account for the spectrochemical series. Let us now learn about the basics of crystal field theory, and for that we should start with the energy and shape of the d orbitals. For a free metal ion, all the 5d orbitals have same energy and are called degenerate orbitals. The lobes of the orbital indicates the region in space where d electrons are most likely to be found. As you can see, the dx square y square and dz square orbitals have lobes which point directly towards x, y and z axes. However, the dxy, dxz and dyz orbitals have lobes which point between the charge and not the axis.
Now, we would learn what happens when d orbitals are placed in an octahedral field of ligands. As you can see, an octahedral array of negative ligands shown as grey dots are approaching the 5 different d orbitals of a metal ion which is positive. And the spatially large 3d orbitals have electrons present in them which will repel the negative charge on the ligands. In the case of dx square minus y square and of dz square, the ligands and orbitals lie on the same axis. As discussed in the previous section, the d orbitals in an octahedral field split up into two sets of orbitals, namely T2g and Eg. The T2g comprises of 3 orbitals which have lower energy in comparison to the barycenter, in which all the 5 d orbitals are degenerate. These 3 orbitals having lower energy are dxy, dxz and dyz. On the other hand, Eg has 2 orbitals, dx square minus y square and dz square, which have higher energy in comparison to the barycenter. The energy difference between these two sets of orbitals in the crystal field is known as the crystal field splitting parameter delta O, where the O refers to the fact that it is an octahedral field. It is also noticeable that the splitting of the orbitals occurs in such a way that the overall energy of the system remains constant. Conservation of energy states that the energies of the 3 T2g orbitals lie at minus 0.4 delta O and the Eg orbitals lie at plus 0.6 delta. So the total energy is 0. Thus, the total increase in the energy of the Eg orbitals and decrease in energy of the T2g orbitals from the barycenter is the same.
Now, for writing the electronic configuration of a transition metal complex, we should note that the electrons always occupy the lowest energy configuration. As we can see in the case of octahedral complexes, electrons are filled from lower to the higher energy orbitals, that is according to the Aufbau principle. Also, following the Hund's rule, electrons are filled in the order to have the highest spin multiplicity as possible, which means the arrangement should have the maximum number of unpaired electrons. For example, in the case of a D3 complex, there are in total 3 unpaired electrons. Now, with the addition of one more electron to the system, the electrons has an option to fill a higher energy orbital, that is dz square or dx square y square, or it can pair up with the electron residing in the dxy, dxz or dyz orbitals. This pairing of the electrons require spin pairing energy. If the pairing energy is less than the crystal field splitting energy, that is delta naught, then the next electron will go into the dxy, dxz or dyz orbitals due to the stability. This situation allows for the least amount of unpaired electrons and is known as low spin state. If the pairing energy is greater as compared to delta naught, then the next electron will go into the dz square or dx square y square orbitals as the unpaired electron. This situation allows the most number of unpaired electrons and is known as high spin. Ligands that cause a transition metal to have a small crystal field splitting which leads to high spin are called weak field ligands. Ligands that produce a large crystal field splitting which leads to low spin are called strong field ligands. Crystal field splitting parameter, that is delta naught, depends upon two factors. First, the nature of the metal ion, and second, the nature of the ligand involved. For a metal ion, delta naught increases with increasing oxidation number and delta naught hence increases down the group. The nature of the ligand can be explained on the basis of spectrochemical series which we will take in the next slide. The value of the crystal field splitting parameter, that is the amount by which the degeneracy of the d orbitals is disturbed by the electrostatic field generated by the ligands, will depend upon the identity of the ligands. The series obtained is independent of the identity of the metals at the center of the complex, and so the ligands can be arranged into a spectrochemical series. When a ligand causes a large ligand field splitting parameter, it is said to generate a strong field, and when there is a small ligand field splitting parameter, it is said to be in weak field. For example, Cn negative is a strong field ligand and I negative is a weak field ligand. Weak field ligands, that have small value of delta naught, tend to favor adding electrons to the higher energy orbitals because delta naught is less than the spin pairing energy. Whereas strong field ligands, that is which have large delta naught value, tend to favor adding electrons to lower energy orbitals because delta naught is greater than the spin pairing energy. Pairing energy is required to overcome Coulombic repulsions when two electrons occupy the same orbital. The configuration adopted therefore depends upon the relative magnitude of the splitting parameter delta naught and the pairing energy capital P. If delta naught is less than P, then the upper Eg orbital is occupied to minimize the pairing energy. Whereas if delta naught value is greater than P, the lower T2G orbital is occupied to maximize the ligand field stabilization energy. P does not change for a given element, and so the configuration is determined by the value of delta naught. The first situation arises with configuration D4, which will be discussed in the next section. As you can see, when the metal ion with configuration D4 is placed under the effect of weak field ligand, It gives rise to a configuration T2G3EG1. However, the second with configuration T2G4 is known as a strong field limit. The figure illustrates high spin complexes which will be formed when the ligands are weak field, such as I negative, Br negative, S2 negative, SCN negative and Cl negative. The figure illustrates that how low spin complexes will be formed when the ligands are strong field, such as NO2 negative, PPH3, Cn negative and CO. In this module, we have learned that the d orbitals split up into two sets of orbitals, namely T2g and Eg, where T2g comprises of three orbitals of lower energy, namely dxy, dxz and dyz, and Eg set having dx square y square and dz square of higher energy. It is also noticeable that the splitting of the orbitals occurs in such a way that the overall energy of the system remains constant. The energy difference between the two sets of orbitals for d orbitals in a crystal field is known as the crystal field splitting parameter, which is represented by delta naught. Crystal field splitting parameter depends upon two factors. First, the nature of the metal ion, and second, the nature of ligand used for the complexation. Depending upon these two factors, metal ion can form low spin or high spin complex, which in turn reflects the color and magnetic properties for the complexes.